Hey, thanks for listening to this work. My name is Norberto Lipchak. I am a professor of the Universidad Nacional de Río Negro. I want to share with you my observation and personal experiences relates to education for more than 30 years and a proposal for change. Let's start with the index. First, I will talk about the human being from his birth, his neuronal and physical development. Then I will mention 6 studies and experience case of teaching and learning, from the early age to adult. I will comment on the result of this method, and finally I will present a proposal for education reform to apply in our country. But first, I want to tell you about my motivation. How is my interest in the Jesus born? He was a viewer of the 1992 Olympic Games in Barcelona. The Olympic Games are the most important sporting event in the world. An opportunity to see the commitment of the state in supporting sport and youth, providing the necessary infrastructure, health care, food, supplies, training, travel, and competition for the athletes. The performance of our country in these meetings, except football, basketball, tennis, sailing, and sporadic appearances of other sports, is very poor. Other countries show that they can take these issues seriously, such as the United States, the country of ex-socialist orbit, Germany, China, and a poor country like Cuba, which always stand out with great results. How each one approaches these issues does not always depend on having enormous economic resources, but a political decision and clear planning. I have 4 children who have passed and are going through all the levels of Argentine education. As a father on the one hand, as an educator on the other, I have found that our public education system is not good. It is unilateral, dogmatic, does not take into account aspects that go beyond the intellectual and much less than the way of accessing knowledge and to learn from children and youth today. They are accustomed to interaction, audiovisual, multilanguage, and possesses, but often not demonstrated a predisposition to respect for their habitat. It could be said that the current educational system is falling into obsolescence. Here is the human being. Unlike other mammals, born with a poorly developed brain, like its limbs, bone structure and musculature. This makes it defenseless and absolutely dependent. It takes 8 years to reach the complete maturation of your neural connections. It is essential that in this stage that the organism receives and assimilates all the nutrients necessary for its physiology through a balanced diet, adequate physical activity and stimuli to reach the highest level of development. Now let's go to the case study. Case 1. At the end of the 80s and the beginning of the 90s, there was a sport education experience in Rosario at the Athens gym. A kindergarten run by a young psychologist, a team of teachers and sport coaches. They had unusual rooms for 2, 3, and 4 years, plus all sports facilities, including a heated swimming pool. Unlike traditional kindergartens, physical activities coexisted with intellectuals. My oldest son went to that garden. The psychomotor evolution of him and his companions was extraordinary. There was also an early offer for babies in matro swimming classes. What is matro swimming? From 45 days of age, a baby is unable to move by itself on land, but is very good at swimming, holding his breath underwater, at traveling distances by himself to reach a point of interest. This is a joint experience of the baby with his mother, together with a coach or specialized trainer. That experience was a private initiative ended due to economic issues. Case 2. In the city of Rosario, there was also an education for art experience in 1950s carried out by sisters Olga and Letizia Cosettini. Through a documentary film by filmmaker Mario Piazza, The School of Miss Olga, the children of that time and older testify their experiences and how this way of learning influenced their lives. This experience was applied sporadically in Rosario and in other parts of the country with good results. Case 3. In Fisquemenuco, on the margin of the Rio Negro, there's an educational proposal called ERAP, Rural School Protected Area. ERAP is orchard plus school plus nature equal new education. That raises a concept like an education that includes aspects that unite the natural experience with the intellectual ones. Integrate the students of different age in the same class, although they have different capacity and IQ, unite the knowledge of nature with ICT. Case 4. About the end of 2009, Professor Fernando Cerquera, Cuban Olympic trainer, dictated a seminar of his specialty in the city of Fisquemenuco, Rio Negro. There he explained how the Cuban state and its educational system are in charge of detecting aptitudes and supporting from childhood those who will be athletes. How his concern for the human being, in addition to sporting achievements, goes beyond. Since the athletes have finished their competitive life, they enter at the training stage to improve their non-competitive post-athletic quality of life. Only 2 more cases remain. Case 5. The family experience of living in rural mountain area 20 kilometers from El Bolsón led us, together with my wife, to teach our 2 daughters at home the basic content of the first grade of the primary school. I do not have image of that time. They will ask why. At that time, I believed that this image will keep only in the heart. We did class like games, 2 or 3 times a week. At the end of each year, the direction of the village school supervised what was learned. The result was extraordinary. The need for socialization required that the last grades from the 5th grade onward be made in conventional school where they were integrated perfectly. And finally, case 6. At the university levels where I work, as I did in several cities and provinces of our country and abroad, students for the secondary level enter. They have enormous capacities, however some seem automatons. They are individualists, they do not read, they do not investigate, they expect to receive knowledge without making an effort. These will mark symptoms of today were noticed and aggravated in Argentina during the last 3 decades. Currently, in public education, the minimum contents are taught with a little sports and a little of nothing of artistic activities, most of the time in the classroom. Are these methods effective? Case 1. All the children has a perfect notion of the space around them and most of them learn to read and write at 4 years old. Case 2. The majority of the graduates are artists or university professionals, and they had a hard time adapting to the higher levels of traditional education. Case 3. The students of that school have a great sense of collaboration and respect for the environment. The graduates of the elementary school have no difficulties in entering secondary school. The experience is recent. Case 4. The Cubans maintain a high performance at the Olympic Games and high index of post-sport health. I worked 2 years in Cuban education and I was able to check this index personally. Case 5. All of my children, who are artists and designers, found it very easy to attend high school. My youngest son, who attended conventional school, found it more difficult. Case 6. The university have difficulties to compensate the weak preparation of the entrant. They have difficult understanding text and associating techniques to solve problems. It is an initial obstacle in their careers that not all manage to overcome. Obviously, a change is needed. From here to the end of this presentation, I propose to reflect on two stimulating phrases. This is the first. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. Yes, for a better future, I present this proposal. All change takes time. This pilot experience is based on the aforementioned experience. It is based on sport and art, with a minimum content on the primary and secondary levels. It starts from scratch at birth. At 45 days of age begins the mature swimming, that extends to the kindergarten with psychomotor education. At the family level, from the first years of life, the contents are taught by parents in their homes, playing with their children. At a social level, the experience is sporting and takes place in an environment that generates trust. A social, a sports neighbor club, a non-profit private entity democratically run. After 5 years, coach began to detect sports skills to the application of the mini athletics program developed by the International Association of Athletic Federations in 2007. Between 5 and 8 years, sport training, artistic activities, games, proper nutrition, health controls, and intellectual training through the latest ACT are intensified. This is a joint work of the family and a team of coach, teachers, neuroscientists, doctors, chefs, and artists. The state monitors the educational progress of children with itinerant pedagogical auditors. From 9 to 12 years old, intellectual training takes place in traditional schools, maintaining sports and artistic activities in neighbor clubs. In this way, primary education is concluded. From the age of 13, private companies pay sports or artistic scholarships for the detected abilities that children have been developing. There is a room for the smallest in the clubs, passing the 13 years to cultural centers and or high performance sports. The states continue to monitor these activities, providing health support and developing a secondary school adapted to the artistic sports system. Young athletes, according to their specialty, will already be able to represent the country in international competition. At the end of the secondary stage, the state also takes charge of training young people by training them as trainers of the future children so that the cycle begins again. At 18, young artists enter the college with a high level to study their careers. There, they receive a preferential treatment that allows them to develop their activities as high representative of the country in their disciplines. The state continues to guarantee health and nutrition. Private companies benefit by the image of young people and their international success, guarantee all types of expense and remuneration in mobility, equipment, and prices. At the age of 24, young people become university professionals. They already have full control of their sporting or artistic careers. They can negotiate their contracts with private companies and free the state of the coverage that has been provided to them so that they can direct them to later ones. The state retakes its responsibility between the 40 and 45 years of the athletes to guarantee a stage of sport training of as less 2 years. This also includes medical control and feeding. But the time has come to answer a question that will surely have already been asked. Who is the world system financed? It is obvious that it requires a political decision of national state and that the results are not immediate. They take decades. Here's the answer. Foundations and companies will see your name and your brand supporting these champions and artists. The only requirement is the vision to bet on the future. All this project is a private order and does not pursue economic profit beyond the income of maintenance and growth of the structure and the first salaries that everyone who works in it receives. The state will offer a regulatory legal framework that harmonizes all the parts, a system of economic support, a salary which extends the scope of universal assignation by child and pregnancy leaves for mothers with children from conception to the 3 years old, so that they are in charge of dedicating themselves preferentially to them in that stage. While the woman has at least one child of that age, she will continue to receive the salary and added to their training to teach elementary school to their older children and take them to the sport artistic educational project. The collection of this salary decompresses the labor competence of the young mothers in other areas of the economy, freeing up jobs and, as already mentioned, relieving and improving primary education. The official sponsorship in any instance, such as the public university of which this will result, the Universidad Nacional de Río Negro, is perfectly valid, and also marketing and image and or service marketing developments. The moment of conclusion is coming. Both the sport and artistic side will be imbued with the minimum contents required by official education, complementary to those taught by parents at home. A pedagogical agreement with the Ministry of Education will allow pedagogical audit to evaluate the student periodically. Home education will free 60% of school facilities, allowing room for training of young parents or prospective parents to fulfill the task of initial educators. The artistic activities include music, theater, including puppets, plastic arts, audiovisual media, and ICT. There is a high probability that this results in children and their young people more emotionally stable, self-confident, healthy, which is convenient to state, times to grow and evolve. At the secondary level, the dedication of young people to sport, art, and traditional education will demand full time, including activities with their families, artistic demonstration, trips, sports competitions, almost completely excluding leisure time and the danger of falling into bad habits like crimes or drugs. We can see the organization chart for the pilot experiences in a social and sports club during the first years. After 20 years, the results will probably be a generation of young people with their physical, artistic, and intellectual capacities developed to the maximum, healthy, many of them with great possibilities of being Olympic champions, very fit to enter or study the first years of the college, and citizen projects that in the future can lead with honesty and commitment to our country. Expected results of the proposal: Olympic elite athletes, excellent artists, decrease of disease, addiction and crimes, healthy citizen, intellectually developed and prepared to train a new generation. In short, a dream that may perhaps become reality. I imagine it for my future grandchildren in a country and a world every day better. But remember, that is the second sentence. Here it is. Never give up on a dream, just try to see the signs that lead to it. Thank you for your attention. For more information or contribute your ideas, do not hesitate to contact me at the following email.